The drama surrounding Vinícius Júnior's future at Real Madrid has reached boiling point, and the story unfolding in Spain feels like one of those moments that could alter the trajectory of the club for years to come. According to reports, Florentino Pérez has made a monumental decision. Vinícius, once heralded as the crown jewel of Madrid's next era, will be transfer listed and sold. Not to another European powerhouse, not to a Champions League rival, but to Saudi Arabia, where a life-changing offer is already waiting. For a player once valued at over $200 million, the symbolism of this decision cuts deeper than numbers. It's not just a transfer story, it's a power struggle between ambition, ego, and the very identity of Real Madrid. The tension began behind closed doors during contract negotiations. Vinícius, brimming with confidence after establishing himself as one of the most electrifying wingers in world football, made demands that rattled the foundations of the Bernabeu. He insisted on becoming the highest-paid player at the club, a request that would eclipse even veterans and icons. But that wasn't all. He demanded the same eye-watering signing-on bonus that Kylian Mbappé had received, the very bonus that dominated European headlines and sparked debates about modern football's excess. To Vinícius, Mbappé's bonus wasn't just a perk, it was a disguised second salary, and he wanted his slice of the pie. Florentino Pérez, a man who has built empires by balancing sporting ambition with financial discipline, knew immediately what was at stake. Give in, and you set a precedent that every star in the dressing room would follow. Refuse, and you risk alienating one of the most gifted players of his generation. In the end, Pérez saw a different truth. Real Madrid doesn't bend to individuals. For him, the badge is always bigger than the player, and so he has made the call to let Vinícius go before the demands spiral further into chaos. Adding fuel to the fire is Vinícius's market value, which has already started to dip. Once valued, at $200 million, his tag has slipped to $170 million, still enormous, but a warning shot for a club that has seen the game's financial tides turn quickly. Pérez understands that waiting could mean losing tens of millions more. Sell now, reinvest, and move forward. That's the strategy. And the reinvestment plan is bold, almost frightening in its ambition. The whispers in Spain say the Brazilians' sale is directly tied to funding a move for Erling Haaland. The Norwegian striker, a machine in front of goal, is reportedly restless at Manchester City. After conquering the Premier League and the Champions League, he craves a new challenge, a reset. Barcelona was mentioned briefly in passing, but no one in their right mind believes the Catalans, buried in debt and struggling with wage caps, could ever land him. Real Madrid, however, has both the money and the vision. Imagine Mbappé terrorizing defenses on the left, Haaland dominating the center, and a supporting cast of midfield brilliance behind them. It's not just a fantasy, it's a dynasty in the making. The irony is almost cruel. Vinícius and Mbappé, both natural left-wingers, were always destined for a collision course. When Madrid pursued Mbappé, insiders knew the Frenchman's arrival meant one thing: Vinícius's days were numbered. There's no room for two superstars fighting over the same patch of grass. And when you weigh their qualities, Mbappé offers Madrid fewer headaches. Vinícius's career has been marked not just by dazzling runs and big goals, but by controversies. Clashes with referees, bitter exchanges with rivals, and tensions with fans. He's brilliant but combustible, a player who can turn a season with his feet, but also derail one with his temper. For Pérez, the calculus is simple. A club like Real Madrid cannot gamble its future on instability. The Brazilian, no matter how gifted, has become too volatile to serve as the cornerstone of the next era. Selling him now isn't just about cashing in, it's about cleansing the dressing room and avoiding a slow-motion implosion. If Vinícius is Madrid's outgoing star, then Lamine Yamal is Barcelona's crown jewel, and his story has its own brush with fate. Few fans realize just how close the teenager came to wearing Bayern Munich red instead of Barca's Blaugrana. Back in early 2022, Bayern sent scouts to Spain to monitor Gavi, but while tracking one prodigy, they stumbled across another. Yamal, a kid barely old enough to shave. His talent was so blindingly obvious that Bayern officials immediately floated the idea of snatching him before he ever broke into Barca's first team. Meetings were arranged, plans were drafted, and a $5 million figure was whispered. But then Jorge Mendes entered the picture, and with him came a swift lockdown on Yamal's future. By the time the youngster debuted in April 2023, Bayern's chance had evaporated. Now he's signed until 2031, a player central to Barcelona's long-term vision, and already shining for Spain on the biggest stages. Bayern's hesitation, their unwillingness to gamble early, cost them a generational star. Meanwhile, Liverpool's gaze is fixed firmly on their own future. The Reds know that Mohamed Salah's time at Anfield is drawing to a close, not because his legs have gone, but because Saudi Arabia's cash-filled vaults refuse to stop calling. So the club is preparing its succession plan, and at the center of it stands Michael Olise. The Frenchman, currently dazzling at Bayern with 20 goals and 22 assists in a single season, has become Liverpool's priority target. Rumours suggest a release clause that would allow him to return to the Premier League, and Liverpool are ready to exploit it. For Jurgen Klopp's old side, this isn't just about signing another winger. It's about finding Salah's heir, a player capable not only of replicating his goals, but of carrying his aura. The fee being discussed is enormous, $87 million, but Liverpool has never shied away from making the right investment when the need is urgent. And this need is existential. Salah's departure will leave a chasm, and Olise is seen as the one player who can step into that void with confidence, flair, and fearlessness. Over in Munich, another storm is brewing. Dayot Upamecano, once a cornerstone of Bayern's defense, may be on his way out on a free transfer in 2026. Talks over a new deal have stalled, with the Frenchman demanding higher wages than Bayern is willing to pay. This standoff has opened the door for Europe's biggest predators, Real Madrid, PSG, and Manchester United. Each of them sees him as a bargain too good to pass up. For Madrid, he's a ready-made replacement for aging veterans. For PSG, he's another homegrown French star to add to their collection. For United, he's the defensive stability that Amorim craves but cannot find. Whoever wins this race will reshape their backline for years to come, while Bayern risk losing a player they nurtured for absolutely nothing. And then, there's the comedy act playing out in Portugal. Benfica's presidential elections have turned into a circus of promises, and the latest stunt borders on parody. Candidate Cristóvão Carvalho has promised that if he wins, he will replace Bruno Lage with none other than Jurgen Klopp. Yes, Klopp, the man who left Liverpool citing exhaustion and the desire to step away from the madness of football. Carvalho clings to a throwaway comment Klopp once made about Benfica being a great club he'd like to coach someday, twisting it into a campaign slogan. In reality, Klopp is contracted to Leipzig's global football project until 2029 and has repeatedly hinted he may never coach again. But logic and reality rarely matter in election season. For Carvalho, the fantasy of Klopp and Benfica Red is too powerful a carrot not to dangle in front of supporters. In the end, the stories weaving through Europe's football landscape all share a common thread: clubs and players standing at crossroads where ambition collides with ego, where opportunity slips through fingers, and where fantasy often trumps reality. Vinícius's looming departure is perhaps the starkest reminder of all. At Real Madrid, no player is untouchable. The badge, the institution, and the project always come first. Now it's your turn. Do you think Pérez is right to sell Vinícius and chase Haaland? Can Olise really be the next Salah at Liverpool? And is there any universe where Jurgen Klopp actually coaches Benfica? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of this football soap opera.